Hello, thoughtful learners, and a very warm welcome back to Grow English Mastery Podcast. I'm Scarlett, and it is a privilege to guide you through the fifth and final episode in our special series on the life and success stories of Barack Obama. Have you ever found it difficult to talk about complex or painful subjects? How can words be used not to create anger but to create understanding? How can a leader help to heal a nation's oldest wounds? Today, we explore how President Obama took on this immense challenge. This isn't just a history lesson. It's a deep dive into the power of words and empathy. By the end of this episode, you will understand how Barack Obama used his powerful speeches to address one of America's most difficult topics, race. We will master 10 essential vocabulary words like race relations, reconciliation, and empathy. We will focus on the grammar of using rhetorical questions in powerful speeches, and I will give you practical tips for all 4 skills to help you discuss sensitive and important topics in English. So, let's explore the story of how a president used his voice in an attempt to form a more perfect union. Part 1. The context of race in America. To understand the importance of President Obama's words, we must first understand a deep and often painful part of American history. The issue of race has been a central challenge for the United States since its founding. The country was built, in part, on the labor of enslaved African people. After slavery was abolished, a long and difficult struggle for civil rights began. Even after the civil rights movement of the 1950s and 1960s, racial inequality and tension remained a serious problem in American society. So, when Barack Obama, a man with a black father and a white mother, ran for president, the topic of race was central to his campaign and his identity. It was both an inspiration and a challenge. How could he, as the first black presidential candidate with a real chance to win, talk about this sensitive topic in a way that would unite people rather than divide them? Part 2. A more perfect union. A speech on race. An answer came during a crisis in his 2008 campaign. A controversy erupted over inflammatory statements made by his former pastor. The situation became a huge media firestorm and threatened to derail his entire campaign. Instead of hiding from the issue, Obama decided to confront it directly. On March 18, 2008, in Philadelphia, the same city where the U.S. Constitution was written, he delivered a speech that is now considered one of the most important speeches on race in American history. It was titled, "A More Perfect Union," a phrase taken directly from the U.S. Constitution. In the speech, he did not simply condemn the controversial remarks. Instead, he placed them in the wide, complex, and painful history of race in America. He spoke with honesty about the anger and resentment that existed in both black and white communities. He acknowledged the pain of discrimination felt by African Americans, but he also acknowledged the frustrations of some white Americans who felt their own struggles were being ignored. His central message was a call for empathy and unity. He argued that despite its history of slavery and discrimination, America is a country that can change. He asked people to come together to solve shared problems, like healthcare and education, instead of being divided by race. The speech was a remarkable act of intellectual courage and honesty. It was a complex, thoughtful, and deeply personal speech that treated the audience like adults. It didn't solve the problem of race in America, but it showed a new and more honest way to talk about it. Part 3. The Mourner-in-Chief. A president is not just a political leader. Sometimes, they must be the mourner-in-chief, the person who helps a nation grieve during a tragedy. One of President Obama's most powerful moments in this role came in June 2015. A horrific event happened in Charleston, South Carolina. A young white supremacist walked into the Emmanuel African Methodist Episcopal Church, a historic black church, during a Bible study and shot and killed 9 African American worshipers, including the pastor, State Senator Clementa Pinckney. It was an act of pure racist hatred, designed to start a race war. The nation was shocked and heartbroken. A few days later, President Obama traveled to Charleston to deliver the eulogy at the funeral for Reverend Pinckney. A eulogy is a speech that praises someone who has just died. The nation watched, wondering how he could possibly find the right words to comfort a grieving community and a wounded country. Part 4. Amazing Grace. A Moment of Healing. In his eulogy, President Obama spoke beautifully about the lives of the 9 victims and the history of the church as a symbol of Black resilience. He talked about the concept of grace, a Christian idea of God's love and forgiveness, which is unearned and freely given. He spoke about how the families of the victims had shown incredible grace by forgiving the killer in court just days after the shooting. And then, at the end of his powerful speech, he did something completely unexpected. After a long reflective pause, he began to sing, slowly and soulfully, the first verse of the famous hymn, Amazing Grace. For a moment, the entire arena was silent, stunned. Then the organist began to play along, and the thousands of mourners in the church rose to their feet and joined him in song. It was an incredibly raw, human, and powerful moment. By singing, he did more than just give a speech. He participated in an act of communal prayer and grief. He stepped out of his role as president and became just one more person, mourning with a heartbroken community. That single act of singing Amazing Grace was seen as a profound moment of healing and reconciliation for a nation grappling with a terrible tragedy. It was a testament to his deep empathy and his ability to connect with people on an emotional level. Now, let's explore 10 key vocabulary words from this emotional story. Race relations, a noun phrase. The relationship between people of different racial groups within a community or country. Spelling: RACERELATIONS. Barack Obama's presidency was a historic moment for race relations in America. Improving race relations is a continuous challenge for many societies. A more perfect union. A noun phrase. A phrase from the U.S. Constitution that suggests the country is always a work in progress, striving to improve. Spelling AMOREPERFECTUNION. He titled his famous speech on race, "A More Perfect Union." The goal of the movement was to create a more perfect union for all citizens. Speech on race. A noun phrase. A public address that deals with the topic of race, racism, and racial identity. Spelling SPECHONRACE. His 2008 speech on race is still studied today for its honesty and complexity. It is very difficult to give a successful speech on race in a divided country. Eulogy. A noun. A speech or piece of writing that praises someone or something highly, typically someone who has just died. Spelling EULOGY. President Obama delivered a moving eulogy for the victims of the Charleston shooting. She wrote a beautiful eulogy for her grandfather. Healing. A noun. The process of making or becoming sound or healthy again. Spelling HEALING. His song was seen as a moment of national healing. The community came together to begin the process of healing after the tragedy. Reconciliation. A noun. The restoration of friendly relations. The action of making one view or belief compatible with another. Spelling RECONCILIATION. The speech was a call for racial reconciliation. After the long conflict, both sides worked towards reconciliation. Empathy. A noun. The ability to understand and share the feelings of another. Spelling EMPATHY. Obama's leadership style was often characterized by his deep empathy. A good leader must have empathy for the people they serve. Compassion. A noun. Sympathetic pity and concern for the sufferings or misfortunes of others. Spelling COMPASSION. He spoke with great compassion for the families of the victims. The nurse treated her patients with kindness and compassion. Grace. A noun. In a religious context, the free and unmerited favor of God. More generally, a quality of simple elegance or courteous goodwill. Spelling GRACE. He spoke about the concept of grace and forgiveness. She handled a difficult situation with grace and dignity. To mourn, a verb. To feel or express great sadness, especially because of someone's death. Spelling MOURN. The entire nation mourned the loss of the 9 innocent lives. As Mourner-in-Chief, the president helped the country to mourn. Now, let's look at our grammar focus. Rhetorical questions. A rhetorical question is a question you ask not to get an answer, but to make a point, to make people think, or to create a dramatic effect. Powerful speakers like Barack Obama use them all the time. For example, at the beginning of this lesson, I asked, how can words be used not to divide, but to heal? I wasn't expecting you to answer me directly. I was asking the question to make you think about the theme of our lesson. Let's look at how a speaker might use them. To introduce a problem. So, where do we go from here? To challenge the audience's thinking. Are we a nation that accepts this kind of violence? To emphasize a point. And what was the result of their sacrifice? Was it all for nothing? When you listen to famous speeches in English, try to identify the rhetorical questions. Notice how they are used to persuade the audience and to make the speech more powerful and engaging. Now, how can you practice? For listening, search for Obama Charleston Eulogy on YouTube and watch the end of the speech where he sings Amazing Grace. Feel the emotional power of that moment. For speaking, think about a social issue you care about. Try to create 1 or 2 rhetorical questions to make people think about that issue. For reading, find the text of Martin Luther King Jr.'s I Have a Dream speech. It is full of powerful rhetorical questions. For writing, write a short paragraph about a change you would like to see in your community. Start or end your paragraph with a rhetorical question. Barack Obama's ability to use words to connect with people on an emotional level was one of his greatest strengths as a leader. In moments of national pain and division, he often found a way to express the country's collective grief and to call for unity and understanding. His A More Perfect Union speech and his Amazing Grace eulogy are remembered as 2 of the most powerful examples of this. They show that leadership is not just about policy and politics. It is also about empathy, compassion, and the power of language to heal. As we conclude our series on Barack Obama, let's summarize the key takeaways. First, we explored Obama's unique ability to address the sensitive topic of race in America through his thoughtful and honest A More Perfect Union speech. Second, we learned about the tragic Charleston church shooting and how Obama, as Mourner-in-Chief, created a powerful moment of national healing when he sang Amazing Grace. Third, we learned 10 essential vocabulary words for discussing these events. As a review, those words were race relations, a more perfect union, speech on race, eulogy, healing, reconciliation, empathy, compassion, grace, and to mourn. And finally, we focused on the use of rhetorical questions in public speaking. I hope this series has not only helped your English, but has also given you a deeper insight into the journey of this historic leader. Thank you for joining me today on Grow English Mastery Podcast. What do you think is the most important role of a leader during a time of national tragedy? Please share your thoughts in the comments section below. If you found this final episode in our series helpful, please give it a thumbs up. And if you haven't subscribed, please do so now and click the notification bell so you won't miss our future lessons. Keep learning, keep striving to understand each other, and keep using your voice for good. Until next time, take care and happy learning. Bye for now.